Yes, and I believe we are live now. So, good evening, good afternoon, and good morning, everybody out there. We are coming live with our let's talk about this evening or at this time. So please, if you can see us and hear us, please let us know in the comments because it makes it much more exciting for us and probably also for you. But just let us know that you can see and hear us. That we can so we know that there's somebody listening there. So tonight our let's talk about is as the poster says is with Martin Colclough from UK that just had a book released called One Mediumship, Two Expressions, and that's what we are going to talk about. So, John, you can see and hear us. That's lovely, and I believe there's others as well. So, let me welcome Martin Colclough.
Thank you.
So, warm welcome to you, Martin. It's such a pleasure to have you with us tonight.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes. And we Martin, we had a short chat just before we went live here about why I actually did ask you to come on tonight. Obviously, because of your book release, but also because you're talking into some things I have had on mind for years as well. So I thought, let's have a chat about that.
Yeah.
Let's have a chat about that. So, Martin, the one mediumship, two expressions. Can you just give us a brief introduction to what's the background for it?
Yeah, I came into spiritualism quite late, although I'm 71 now. And I say late, I was 42 when I came into it. And that came about with my father passing to the spirit world. I just left the British Army, so I was very disciplined. So when I came into mediumship, everybody told me, being a good soldier, that was the truth. That was the pathway. That's what you had to do. But as it went on, I was listening to these people and I was getting conflicting ideas and ideals. For instance, like we discussed earlier about the Heisveld wrapping, the earliest known living demonstration, as Andrew Jackson Davies called it, of physical phenomena. That's what I'm going to call it. Physical phenomena, was by the Fox sisters, and they didn't sit for years. They didn't sit in the dark. It was it was what we subdued lighting, the light of coal fires and oil lamps as it was in those days in most parts of the world. And yet people were telling me that you had to sit for years. There was two kinds of mediumship. You were either a mental medium or a physical medium, and never the two shall meet. But over the years, I had experiences where physical things were happening, physical phenomena were happening with myself in a completely alert state, in lit room, in church demonstrations of mental mediumship, and physical phenomena were taking place. So that made me question it more. I'm sure you can appreciate that. But then I was in a large spiritualist organization, and their teaching was two mediumships, two type of phenomena. You're a physical medium, you're a mental medium. And I couldn't accept it. And I sat for years in that turmoil. It didn't affect my mediumship, but shall I say, it put me off studying physical phenomena. But then I bought a book, and the name of the book is Living Images. And I was preparing a lecture to do at the Arthur Findlay College. And I got to one chapter and I was reading through the chapter. It was about the photographic mediumship, which I was and still am interested in. And in there was a gentleman who was sitting in a circle that was corresponding with a circle in the United States. Now, the photographer was in the United States. The gentleman was in a circle in the United Kingdom, in England, I believe. and they didn't know why things weren't working out. And this, I believe it's in the book. It's explained in the book. This is they weren't sure why they weren't getting results. And if he did get pictures, it wasn't of how he expected his wife. Now, when you think back to those days, the 1800s, they're corresponding. There was no aeroplanes, so they were waiting for the letters to cross the Atlantic, both ways. Anyway, they were sitting one night, and the medium was a lady. And this evening, the wife of the gentleman who was the sitter came through the medium and told him off, that it was his expectation and him forcing things that preventing the spirit world from carrying out their experiments. So that made me think even more then, well, if they had interfered, if we are interfering, why are we saying you must do this, you must do this, you must do this? So then I read different articles, and you'll find conflicting articles. And even tonight I spoke to this young gentleman from Denmark called Jack, and he said he felt the same. He'd had similar experiences. So it is happening with mediums all around the world, certainly in Europe, because we are living proof of it. And yet people seem to find it difficult to accept that there's one form of mediumship. You can't say linking with the spirit world in one form of mediumship, then you have to change that process to a completely different link for another set of phenomena with the spirit and the spirit world. So that's why I say it's one mediumship. Then if we surrender to the spirit world and we try not to force anything, we're not expectant, we're not anticipating anything, and it's quite difficult. And you can ask the students. Well, I ran a course, and one's here tonight, I noticed, Anne Blanford. They thought it was very difficult sitting with no expectation, and yet we were getting wonderful results as to how they felt, to the energies they were feeling, to the impressions they were getting in the mind, but then not interacting with them because they were allowing the spirit world. And basically that's what's led me to put it on paper so that other people, can enjoy it. There's exercises in the book, and it isn't just to publicize the book, but there's exercises in the book for both mental expression and physical expressions. I'm not sure, I think it's about 16, 18 exercises altogether. And then it shows you how they come together. It shows one of the chapters is the bridge between the two. Now, I've seen physical mediums, some very good, some very poor, and I'm sure everyone's done the same. And some of them are doing physical phenomena, but then they're speaking. They're speaking in a trance state. So that's mental phenomena, mediumship, for want of a better, if you want, mental phenomena working with the physical phenomena that he was producing. So here we are.
Yeah.
There's Neil Payne. Hello, Neil. Nice to see you.
Yeah. So and Blanford had said hi there as well, and Neil. So yes, please let us know you are there, and please put your questions and inquiries in the comments, and we will try to ask them as we can. So, but Martin, as we had the short chat around about just before we went live, we have had shared similar things, experienced similar things regarding these restrictions, these boxes we are putting our mediumship into. So, and I believe there's many people out there that must have the same experience as well. But we have been told that because I believe that so often, because I've heard it over the years from people I've read in a book, it is like this and this, so that's my belief. I've heard somebody said it's so and so that's my belief. And I often have been talking with people about this. but why are we not questioning it? And when I saw your book release, I thought, well, let's just talk about this, because it is. I believe it's important to keeping on having a progress in our mediumship, that we are open to new things, that we are open to the future, and not being stuck with the pioneers and what they achieved, and trying to achieve the same thing. And I know that's where you're coming from as well. Also, you have written a book about it. But I think that's it's just so important in many ways.
Yeah.
I can see there Heidi says hi as well. Hi, Heidi. Oh yeah. And Neil says Gene Skinner was my favorite physical psychical medium, and Mary Duffy. And we have Barbara there as well. Hello, everyone. Happy to be there. Lovely to have you there here, Janet. And we have Barbara, I mentioned before. Setting without expectations is the key, yes. And Martin,
yes, that we've suddenly agreed with her, or that she's just agreeing with us.
Yes.
And I think it's important that we point out that we're not, I certainly aren't with the book. Nowhere in the book does it insult any of the pioneers, any past mediums. And you'll find a lot within mediumship. Let's not say spiritually, because you can be a medium without being a spiritualist, although I am both. But there's a lot of people who are mediums and they're not spiritualists. So within the sphere of mediumship, I'm not pointing it doesn't point the finger at anybody. And within that field of mediumship, you can go to Stansted or any other school, private course, the courses you used to run, and people will believe what they want to believe.
Yes.
We're not here to say that we're right and people are wrong. But I'm going to agree with you when we talk about the pioneers. If you go into the earliest pioneers, right up to the beginning of the 19th, 20th century, should I say, and say before the Second World War, when physical phenomena were prolific, it was the advent of physical mediumship. But we don't know, only what we hear, even though there's written accounts. Now, I'm sure you've heard, and most of the listeners have heard, that in the First World War, there's allegedly, there was a famous saying where they said the initial message was send reinforcements, we're going to advance. And when it got back to the general staff, where the message was supposed to go to, it had been passed by word of mouth because all the telephone cables had been cut. It was ended up as send 3 and 4pence, we're going to a dance. Now, between the first sentence, the original one, send reinforcements, and the last one, send 3 and 4pence, there was lots of different messages being passed. And that's the same with mediumship. And a big problem with mediumship is, and this is probably me on my high horse, is untrained tutors. And there's probably going to be lots of people like, we don't need trained tutors. Yes, we do. Because I know when I started, I was taught by a very good medium, a lady called Sally Harding. In fact, she used to produce wonderful physical phenomena, transfiguration, all sorts. And I've lost my point with rabbits about now. But yeah, that's it. Yeah, when I started, she'd teach you one thing. Then if Sally couldn't make church, somebody else had come. And it was like listening to Sally. They were teaching what Sally had taught. And if somebody else would, so then I started teaching what Sally had taught, until I started reading, courses, doing courses, magazines myself. I was passing on parrot fashion. But each time you pass on that lesson, it changes just a little bit. So by the time 10 people have received that course, that training through 10 different tutors, when it gets to that last student, who then becomes a tutor himself, it's being taught in the 11th different way. I hope that makes sense to people. It changes a little bit. It's called Chinese whispers.
Yeah.
And teaching, mediumship, is exactly the same. Somebody will learn from a tutor. Let's take a Stansted tutor. How many people have been to Stansted and they've secretly recorded the tutor? And then they go home, they play it back, and they do it. And they try to repeat what the Stansted tutor said. But because they've listened in and then they've got to try and ad lib, it changes slightly. So the people they've taught then go and teach the same exercise, but it's changed slightly, and they'll change it slightly. So it snowballs. And that's why I believe we need trained people within mediumship so that it doesn't get watered down as badly as it has in the past. Nobody knows what the pioneers did because there's nobody alive that witnessed them. That's what, like we said when we were sitting in the back office before we came on. Yeah. There's nobody alive that can testify that what the pioneers did, and I'm not decrying the pioneers, but there's nobody can say for sure that's what happened. Now, when I had physical phenomena happen to me, the first time I'd arranged a seminar, and it was in a church. It was the last day of the course, and we were doing a church service. There's 5 mediums on the platform. I was going first doing spirit art, and it got to the 5th medium. We did that twice. So there was like 8 messages. The chair lady said, "We've had a lovely evening. Shall we ask them to do one more?" Now, I'd had my suit on since 5 o'clock. It's now 9:30 at night. So the reason I'm telling you that, I'd been driving, I've been picking up the other mediums, I've been rushing around like a course organizer does. When that chair lady said, "Let's ask them to do one more," I felt a rustle in the cuff of my shirt, double cuff shirt. And I thought, oh, what's that? Anyway, when I pulled it out, it was a child's sock. And on the sock was a name. And the chair lady said, "Now we'll ask Martin to," so I had to screw it up in my hand. So I started drawing, and I can remember, it was such a profound experience. I can remember it was with a lady on the very front row on my right-hand side. So she was on the left of the church. It's a mother-in-law. I'm saying, "You've got your mother-in-law," and lovely picture, drawing the picture. It was a very good picture. But in my head, mentally, mental phenomena, they're saying, "Look at the sock. Look at the sock." And I can't look at the sock. I'm giving information. Give me some information. Kept drawing. Anyway, I relented and looked at the sock. Opened the sock, and on it was embroidered the name Hines, Hines. So I held it up for everybody to see. I didn't know the lady. I said, "Ladies and gentlemen, you've just seen this. I've just taken this out of my shirt cuff. I've had my suit on now for nearly 4.5 hours, and this sock's just appeared." That's an apport. For those who don't know, it was an apport. And it came in I could feel it moving in my cuff. And I said to the lady, "You saw me produce this sock. On it is the name Hines." And that lady said, "That was my mother-in-law's maiden name." So that's physical phenomena in a mental phenomena demonstration. Without sitting in the dark, I would say 80 people observed it.
Yeah.
Afterwards, they all thought it was wonderful. But it wasn't planned. I didn't sit for years to get it. I'd probably only been doing it about 6-7 years then. Well, that's a nice comment offhand. Thank you very much.
Yes. Yeah.
Barbara. Yeah.
Well, I agree with you there. These phenomena happens everywhere, all the time, full daylight and everything. So I've seen some and experienced some as well over the years, and that's like. And it's not about how good are we as mediums. No, it's about how good our spirit, isn't it?
Yeah.
So let's just have a big view here. We have Annette saying hi. Hi, Annette, and hi, Kate. Neil is saying spiritualist and spiritual, totally different in my opinion. Yes, can only agree in that. That's a totally other talk. I love listening to Martin. Well, we all do, I think.
Thank you, Neil.
And oh my things they can teach. Yes, and I think we a little bit later we might pop back to that one. And Neil is saying here, often I hear people say that in nature, often I hear people say that in nature I don't need training,
Natural.
which I disagree with has a delivery of a spirit communication is so important. And yes, and I believe that that's an important one there as well, because we might have the ability to, but especially within the evidential mediumship, I believe it's important to be taught how to deliver, how to present
Yeah.
it, because that's just because we have that connection doesn't mean we have that ability. So yeah, that's where the training and with the ethics and all these things as well. And Blandford says, I've had many tutors, but progressed far more with Martin. I believe they should do as my mentor. So it seems like people are happy with you, Martin. Can you believe that?
Thank you, Anne. And Anne's a wonderful medium, you know. She's a wonderful natural medium and lovely. But she wants to learn so much. And that's a prime example of where she hasn't just gone to anybody. She was inspired to come to me by spirit, that you're looking for this man, and she found me and she felt comfortable. And then I always tell my students, look, I was trained by the SNU. I was an Arthur Findlay College tutor, but I also went out and got a teaching qualification and an assessing qualification, so that when I'm teaching people, I understand that let's put it this way. If you have 12 people in a room, 12 developing mediums, and you're the teacher, that's 13 different mediums in the room. Because even if they're teaching people, they're still mediums or they wouldn't be in your class.
Yeah.
Okay. But that's 12 different energies. So the teacher prepares a lesson and they say to the student, you must do this, you must do this, you must do this. And then they're looking for the result that the tutor had maybe 5 years ago, 2 years ago, however new the exercise is. They're looking for the experience they had. They're not happy if the student, they should listen to the student who will have their individual mediumistic experiences.
Yeah.
And if one student just says, what we shouldn't say is, right, what did you get? And then they say they're nervous because they're going to, and I've written a book on teaching mediumship as well, if anybody's interested. Simply Mediumship, a tutor's guide. And I've had a headmaster of a school look at it and he couldn't find any fault with it. So that's how serious I am about teaching. But what's wrong with a student saying, well, in my part of the exercise, I observe this. And then the tutor doesn't have to say, oh, that's wrong. Hold the silence. Let the student have their moment so that they feel they've achieved. Don't take achievement away from the student. And that's the same with either kind of phenomena. They might have a phenomenon and they say, oh, well, I felt this. That's, and in modern energy, physical phenomena, it's a lot of energy, movement, sounds, noises, as well as the original type. So you can't expect 12 people in the same room to have the same experience, because it's 12 different energies from the original energy, which is the tutors.
Yeah, and you can just take it into your daily life. Well, if you're watching an accident out on the road, God forbid it, and 12 different people are seeing the same, they will have different experiences.
Yeah.
And I believe it
touch
should
on
be
what
like
Neil
that. Excuse me?
Neil's just touched on something there. I strongly believe that the Arthur Findlay College should have teaching qualifications like petals and dettles. Well, petals and dettles have actually gone now. It's called the Level 3 Award in Education and Training. And all the teachers in my school are trained to that standard. And they have to have a minimum of Level 3 assessing competence in the workplace. Now, that doesn't make them that they are better than anybody else, but they're teaching and assessing criteria. How they teach the criteria, as long as the student meets the criteria, the teacher can teach it in any way they like. And when the assessor assesses it, they should come to their assessment decision. So that's then, when that person's got that qualification, because that's what you get, a qualification from Focus Awards, they're holding up not just a piece of paper, but actually a Level 3 qualification in teaching, mediumship, assessing, trance mediumship, although we don't call it trance, we call it working in the altered states within mediumship, and that's to keep outsiders happy, but it's actually trance. Spiritual healing, inspirational speaking, spiritual philosophy. We're getting off course here a bit, but I'm passionate about both, that we should qualify our students, our teachers. But if you want me to get you back on track, if we go back to the pioneers, Jack, as we were saying, that we don't know what happened, and nobody can, we've only got what's written in the books, and some of it word of mouth, you know. Now, when I first come in, Gordon Higginson hadn't been passed to the spirit world long, about 12 months, but everybody was talking about him, and everybody told different stories.
Yeah.
Even he'd only been in the spirit world 12 months, and he was already being sensationalized. And everywhere you went, people had seen Gordon, and he'd walked across the stage in trance state, and he'd walked down the steps in trance state, and he'd seen a little girl sitting on his knee, all kinds of things. And then you get the other people who'd seen him, who'd say, and it's not me saying this because I'd never observed him, he was fraudulent. Now, if you're saying that about a man who'd only been passed to the spirit world 12 months when I came into it, how do we know that people from 100 years before I came into it, it hasn't been sensationalized?
Yeah.
So what we discussed in the back room, we should be looking for today's phenomena, not yesterday's. Because if we're sitting for yesterday's phenomena, then we're sitting with expectation, which I think one of the Barbara mentioned, Barbara Felder, I think it was, or one of the other ladies, sitting with expectation. The next thing we're doing is we're anticipating, and finally we are forcing it to happen. And you know, and every medium that's in this forum tonight knows, you cannot force mediumship.
Yes.
Yes, that's true. I'm trying to read the comments well. So there you go.
Yes.
It's sensationalized.
Yeah. Was Neil that was putting in, then it would be their own certificate they worked for, not like in the Spiritual National Union, where it is if you leave after working hand towards certifications, they are taking it from you and it's not recognized.
That's correct.
And yeah. So that's
you keep them for life, like any other vocational qualification.
Yes.
You keep them for life. It'd be another night's talk. We're getting away from the topic, but it'd be another night's talk to explain what I've had to go through to get the Psyche Education Centre recognised by an outside awarding body. It'd take a whole nother night's talk.
Oh yeah, we'll do that later in the year. Not a problem.
Yeah, don't want me too often. No, so let's go to the Victorian era. So in 1848, the Hydesville Rappings, and things started, progressing. Mrs. Myra Hayden, came to England, and people loved it. what happened also, because people started to earn money, now not lots of money, from the books I've read, they were paid their expenses. So like Mrs. Hayden, they'd pay for her to come over to, to come and demonstrate in this country, because we didn't have mediums at that time. It paid for us to come over. So they were working really for the fee that they were given. They didn't demand a fee. So because it started to earn money, what happens is that's when they got the fraudulent people coming in. And that's when we got the darkness. And as a good point I'd never actually thought of, but the singing. It was to hide things they were doing. And you'd be surprised how many modern physical mediums, and I don't mean to mention names, because if they are, they've got to live with that, but do the similar sort of thing. You've got to sit in the darkness. It was only done in the past, darkness. You won't find any reference from Arthur Conan Doyle in the history of spiritualism. You won't find one reference where they sat in total darkness.
No.
They could see what was happening. They were witnessing the phenomena. Today, we're not witnessing phenomena. Oh, we can't turn the lights on because it'll spoil the phenomena. And that's another thing that I've always found difficult to handle, specifically from the Hydesville Rappings, as we said right at the beginning. They weren't trained. They didn't sit in the darkness.
No.
And yet phenomena happened. And they invented their own form of communication. And Kate said that, yes, Kate, subdued lighting, yeah? Red light.
Yeah.
The only reason, you see, you can have lots of physical phenomena. When you need subdued light is in the production of ectoplasm, because we know that bright light can affect the production of ectoplasm. But you can sit for so many other things. You don't need to sit in darkness if you have raps, that kind of thing. Levitation. Imagine the medium levitating. And I know in the Scandinavian countries, they get a lot of physical phenomena. The Zerdin organization used to have photographs of this. I don't know if you're Swedish or Danish, so I hope I'm not treading on wrong toes here. But this gentleman was floating up by the ceiling in his chair, the medium. In broad daylight, they photographed it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I believe Einar Nielsen, one of the old Danish mediums, had quite a few physical phenomena, and other Danish mediums as well. There was also at that time a bit of fraudulent, as you're talking about, there was one that was caught in levitation, where they were singing in darkness and things, and then a flashlight went on and he was elevated. But it turned out that he was jumping, and then the flashlight was coming on, so people saw him up there, and then he was down again. But the sound they made meant that they couldn't hear him jump. They could only see him in that short flashlight. So that's another reason, I believe, why we should look more into doing it in daylight. It's
You see, you've made a good point there. Sorry, I hate the red light. I think it plays tricks when the red light is on. Any subdued light, I mean, mine's slightly subdued now because it's a lamp and I don't want it glaring so you can all see my wrinkles. But I used to sit with the lady, Linda Carr. She was a beautiful medium. Sadly, she's passed away. One of my teachers, a wonderful, wonderful medium. And I don't say that lightly. I haven't met many double wonderful mediums. I've met many wonderful, but Linda was at the next level. And when she used to sit for physical phenomena, there'd be a red light above and a red light below, so that one took away the shadows of the other. I hope that makes sense to Neil. So you had two red lights, not one, and you didn't get all those shadows where people say, got a mustache, got glasses on. You know, everybody saw exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
So, anybody got any questions that you'd like to ask? Let's try and keep it on. So I know I went slightly off on my high horse.
Oh, well, it happens. It happens.
But the education, I think we spoke about education before the first time you had me on. So.
Oh yes, yeah. Oh yes, oh yes. But that's hey, it's the education is important, and I believe we can touch on it because when we are talking mediumship and the different expressions of mediumship and things. I believe it very much comes back to the teaching. It's so easy to see, oh, that and that medium don't do it properly and things. But if they're not doing it properly, they might not even know what they're doing, and that's not. We cannot blame them, but we can look at the teaching they have had. So
you must have read my book on teaching.
But I mean, what have brought them there? What have brought them into situation? It's so yeah. The teaching is important, no matter.
Sorry,
no matter in what aspect of mediumship we are talking. It's that expression of the mediumship that is that's just so important to be guided through, or how to say it, to have that basic teaching to understand what we are doing.
To strengthen your point, being a good medium doesn't make you a good teacher.
Oh no,
you could be an average medium but a wonderful teacher.
Oh yes,
as long as you're getting the best out of your students. And you're not just regurgitating stuff that somebody's give you, and you got somebody else's portfolio. A brilliant medium can make a poor teacher, but an average medium can make an excellent teacher.
Oh yes, definitely. The important thing is that you understand the mechanics of mediumship, if you can put it that way, to understand what is actually going on, and maybe having the ability to actually follow the students' energies as well, reading the energies of the students, so I could support the students in what they're doing.
Yeah, Neil's made a point that I'd like to answer. Then Kate's asked a question. And with Neil, sadly, when I came into it, Jean had either passed away or she'd stopped working. I'm not sure. I never actually saw her work, but I have seen photographs. And I know people that actually saw her, like yourself. Libby Clark, for instance, people like that. So I know that Jean Skinner did it without subdued lighting. She'd sit in broad daylight. She'd get transfiguration masks that were almost solid when you looked at them. Now that's not sensationalism. That's people who saw it. They saw it happen in broad daylight. So I've no argument with Jean whatsoever. When I sat with the lady I told you about, Sally Harding, we turned up for the church circle one night and they said, right, we're not doing a lesson tonight. We're going to watch Sally do a demonstration. So we sat in the back room of the church and there was a cabinet. And let me make it clear, you don't need a cabinet, but Sally liked the comfort of the cabinet. She produced 4 distinctly different masks in one night, just changing, continuously changing. It was absolutely beautiful to watch. But while I was sitting there was nobody behind me, nobody that could do what happened next. Somebody went in my ear, and I felt the rush of air hit my ear. Physical phenomena again. So yeah, there was lots of good mediums.
Yeah. Was the Kate the answer? I think it's actually 2 answers. What do you think the future of mediumship looks like, and what type of phenomena is most common these days?
Oh, let's answer it in reverse, Jack.
Yeah.
Most common type of phenomena nowadays, and this is why we're doing this talk, because Jack and I think the same. It's mental phenomena. So it's perceptive medium. Let's call it perceptive mediumship, not mental medium, because otherwise I'm getting away from my belief that there's one type of mediumship and two expressions: mental expressions, physical expressions. So at the moment, it's mostly mental phenomena, perceptive from the platform, trance, healing. But if you open yourself up to the possibility, as I've already said, I've had physical phenomena while I've been giving healings that everybody in the room has heard, seen, felt. The sock, I've taken pictures flippantly, and pictures have turned out on pictures within the Arthur Findlay College. I took a picture of a Swiss lady while I was doing a spiritual assessment, which people love at Stansted. And there was a lady's hand, an old lady's hand, or an old hand at the side of her head. I wasn't looking for it. So to answer you, what do I think the future of mediumship is? That's up to you, Kate. If you want to stand on the platform, and I'm not knocking it, by the way, if you want to stand on the platform delivering your address in the mediumship, then it's going to be the future of the mediumship, if people don't change, is going to be one type of phenomena, mental phenomena. And let's face it, that's what everybody's looking at because you can get paid doing it. If you surrender and you don't force it, or you say to the spirit world, let's do something special tonight, and then not anticipate, and it's very hard. I ran a course not long ago, and the students couldn't believe how hard it was not to anticipate, not to have expectation, not to force anything, and yet still experience phenomena and energy of some kind. So I can't answer what the future is, but good people like you, Kate, could, by doing things like that, testing the spirit world. Let's do something wonderful tonight, and then forget that you asked and see what happens. And you'll find that people that surrender to the mediumship will be giving you fantastic, wonderful demonstrations. Wonderful demonstrations. And this is personal belief. It'll be for the churches and the spiritualist centres, because I don't think, and everybody's got to make a living, but the people that work in bars and clubs, I don't believe it'd happen there, so they'd stick to the mental phenomena. But those that work in front of spiritualists, people who believe, sitting in front of other mediums, will produce wonderful things if they believe they can produce them, and they sit or they do it as I say, not as I say, do it as I ask, no expectation, no anticipation, no forcing, and just surrender to the spirit world. And I know lots of people say, oh, I surrender 100% to the spirit world. No, you don't. I can tell you now, you don't. You surrender to what you've got to perform. And when we start realizing that we haven't got to perform, we haven't got to please anybody. If you're a medium, you're a believer. So you haven't got to prove anything to anybody. So, Neil, I hope that's answered Karen's question. If you click on the bottom, Neil's asked sort of question, I think. The way you spoke is it, I think we end up losing the purpose of mediumship. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And I'm going back to the good teaching with that, Neil, because thanks, Kate, for acknowledging it. We're losing the purpose of mediumship. The purpose of mediumship, everybody says, is to prove life after death. Who to? We're not proving life. It doesn't actually prove there's life after death. Now you'll argue that point, but the only person who can say that the communicator's been genuine is the recipient. So you're only proving it to one person, not everybody. The purpose of mediumship is upliftment. And if that means the medium brings laughter, emotion of any kind, sadness, but it uplifts somebody, because the sadness, I know when I first went and my father came through 16 days after he died, so all this you have to wait 6 months is a load of rubbish. 16 days after he died, my father came through, and yes, I was crying, but I was happy. and it brought me into this. And it's 29 years ago now that I came into it. I'm waiting to hit that big 30 figure that everybody likes to say, oh, 30 years. But now it's just ticked along nicely. So, yeah, we have to be careful that, and healing, that is now my favorite form of mediumship, because I've had so much joy teaching it and really good results. So that brings me to another physical phenomena that happened in broad daylight. And then you can question these things and see, they're right, it's physical phenomena happening. I was I think it was in Switzerland anyway, on the Italian side. And I'm standing in for another medium who had crashed his motorcycle and couldn't go. So I was standing in for that person. And I mean, they get their money's worth out of you. I tell my students not to sit this many times. One of them's listening now. She'll say, oh, it's the pot calling the kettle black. But I was doing 14 sittings a day at sometimes. And when I went there, they didn't plan it this way, but everybody that came was musculoskeletal. On the second day, everybody that came had like addiction problems, to give up smoking, drinking. And I'd never given it, but it worked with those people. On the last day, it was all people who got psychiatric problems. And I can remember one day, this isn't the phenomenon, so to show you the difference, Edward, my guide, and I don't know regression, but he regressed the girl to the age of 5. She ended up sobbing. But after the end of the weeks, she came back and said how much better she felt through the spiritual healing. Now, on the first day, when the musculoskeletal come, a young lady come in, she got a high-necked jumper on like this, roll-neck jumper, a very attractive young lady, and she sat down. And I went into the altered state of consciousness, the trance state, and allowed the healing to take place. Edward came through and was talking to her and telling her how she had a car crash, that she'd had to have a tracheotomy in her throat, and that due to the car crash, there was a problem with her back where she was sitting or going to sit in an ergonomic chair for people with spinal injuries. The young lady agreed to all that, and I'd never met her in my life. I rarely touch when I'm doing trance healing, but this day I was inspired to move my hand, and as it was going near the middle of her back, the only thing I can explain it as, it was like a bolt of energy shot from my index finger. And you heard the sound. It hit the young lady's back. She jumped. The translator heard it. She jumped, wanted to know what it was, and it brought me to the lighter state of the trance state. Edward then says to her that she'd had a slip disc and he's put it back into place. So she went to the doctor and she said he had got a slip disc. She went back to her doctor's and he said, you've no longer got a slip disc. It's back. I don't understand how it's gone back in place. So that crack of energy was a shot of energy that had pushed that disc back into place. That, ladies and gentlemen, was a physical phenomena in a perceptive or mental situation. They always say mental phenomena is trance as part of that. Control, as they call it. I don't like that word either. So you can see that you get, and that goes a bit to answering Kate's question, if we're not looking for it, but you just want something special, it happens. And that's the future of mediumship. Your teaching of sitting with no expert has proved to be correct. Yeah, that's Anne. Thank you, Anne.
Yeah. So, and that is just to put an extra comment on Niels there. The purpose of mediumship and healing. I believe mediumship, as you said, Martin, should be uplifting, but mediumship is healing as well. Evidential mediumship. That was what brought me into the evidential medium. I came from the healing years ago, but I recognize the healing within the evidential mediumship. It just all makes sense suddenly. and says the teaching of sitting with no expectation has proved to me correct in my progress. So you are doing something right, Martin.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. She's not my only student. I have got the students. So, thank you, Anne.
Yes. And Barbara Felder have a question. Do you have an opinion on EVPs, electronic voice phenomena, and ITC, instrumental transcommunication?
I'll be totally honest with Barbara. I've never actually looked into it, but, and this goes back to mediumship should bring upliftment. If there's people who believe in it, then I won't take it away from them. It's not my job to take it away from them. Okay? And if people are getting results, if I try to take it away from them, then I've got to have a counter argument as to what it is. And because they haven't studied it, I'm going to accept that. I don't know how many of you remember Vi Kipling. She was a lovely medium and spiritualist, but she did a lot of electronic voice phenomena, and I believe she worked with a French lady who pioneered it. And I knew Vi quite well, and she was into it, although I only heard about it at the beginning of my development, and my developments take me in a completely different direction. So I will never, ever put down anybody for their beliefs. But if you'd like to tell us more about it one day, Barbara, I'd come and listen to you. I can only be that fair. You've come and listened to me, so I'd listen to you.
Yeah. And yes, I believe as well that we should be open to the opportunities. And as I just mentioned before we went live about we were talking about looking back on the phenomena from the pioneers and from the past. What kind of phenomena are we looking at? Can we expect into the future? And I believe we can expect what we are believing in is kind of. And as I said, we can have so much digital equipment these days. We can have just a memory card, an empty memory card, formatted memory card, put it on a table and just be open to they put something on there.
Yeah.
And it's so there's so many different ways. That was just an example. We can do so many different things to offer to the spirit world, to offer them new ways with no expectation. Just say, hey, whatever happens, but we can put in like the EVPs and ITCs. I have seen a little bit of it. Some of it I have thought, oh, that seems quite genuine. And of it I have said, felt like I don't really get that. But hey, it's again, I believe it's down to the individual. I've seen a little bit of what I would say that was interesting, and things where I said, nah, I don't believe in that. But same equipment, but different results. So it's I believe it's
See, I'll tell you a funny story. I'd set up not a physical mediumship course, but a phenomena course, trying to produce things. And one of them, we were playing music, and there was this man on the course who it wasn't you, Jack, but his name was Jack, who was poo-pooing everything, because I was quite a new tutor then. So I was a new kid on the block, and he'd been put in my class because I didn't know anybody. He was put in my class because it was my first course as a course organizer. And he wasn't helping around this table. So I said, why don't you play another tune? But, just put some music on, just raise the vibrations, not to hide anything, in this case, to raise the vibrations, because I believed it would in those days. And the next song that came on was Hit the Road, Jack. Now, was that the spirit world or just a coincidence at that time?
Yeah.
That somehow that song came, he was annoying the ladies that were trying to work and make the experiment work, and that song came on the music, Hit the Road Jack, and it wasn't my music, so I couldn't select that. Somebody else had picked the music for the night.
Yeah.
So Barbara, she'd love to do a talk on it, she said, or speak to us about it.
Yes.
That was the lady you mentioned, the EVP and ITC.
Yes. Yeah, we can maybe do that at some time, Barbara. Send us a message, and we can maybe find time to put it up.
Yeah,
so.
And I'm not just saying it. If I'm free, I'll come and watch it because you've been good enough to watch me. But I can't give an opinion unless I learn about it, and I'm always open to learn, even at this age, this young age.
Yes.
And I see Neil. Neil's one of those that says he's been doing it 30 years or more. Okay, Neil. Tongue in cheek. I know Neil. So.
Yes. So, and Martin, we have almost spent an hour now.
Yeah, it's been lovely. I've enjoyed it again. I love these chats.
Yes. So, do you have anything to finish off with tonight?
Basically, what I've said over the time is, I can tell my stories. I'm enjoying the talk. Okay, thanks. I found, I'll tell you how it all happened. One of my guides said one night in the circle, because we kept talking about physical mediumship in the circle. Good evening, Lola. And he said, you're all talking about two kinds of mediumship. Two kinds of mediumship wasn't invented by the spirit world. That was invented by people. And so if you believe me and trust me and you want to test this, it's one kind of mediumship, two expressions, no expectation, no anticipation. Don't force it and just surrender. And if you forget that, you can get the book on Amazon. I can't remember how much. I think it's $7.99. And everybody that's read it has given it a lovely review. And I hope I'm the catalyst that starts producing phenomena, not myself, but with other people, and they all start having wonderful experiences. But what came out last night in our circle was, it's not an exact science, so why are people trying to make it an exact science? Stop looking for the same thing every time you go on the platform. You look for something new. And if you're doing it on the platform, you say, I'd like a phone number. And you'll find they'll give you a phone number. I'd like an address. They'll give you an address. But don't look for it every night, because you become the phone number medium or the address medium. Look for your own stuff. Ask the spirit world, tell the spirit world what you want, but then do it without all that expectation. And you'll find you'll have some wonderful things. Thank you very much, Janet. Yeah.
Yes. So,
and Neil, thank you. And thank you, Anne. And Lola. What an absolutely lovely evening. Thank you, Lola.
So yes. So and yeah, fantastic, Martin, and thank you for joining us this evening. If you want to get hold of Martin out there, you can find him on Facebook, maybe. Martin
Colclough Senior.
And Martin, you're running the Psych Center as well.
The psychecenter.com.
So yeah.
If they email me it, or just get in touch on Messenger, I'll give you my email address.
Yeah. And
you can ask Jack for my email address. I've given Jack permission to give you my email address. Tell me where you've heard of me and what you're communicating for, so I know that you know what you're wanting for. Still watching for the phone number, Martin. Oh. Well, I'll tell you a story about a phone number before we finish. Somebody told me once that they had a wonderful medium. She'd given a phone number. So I said to the spirit world, I'd like a phone number. And I was doing autographs. Got to the last one, no phone number. So the last call comes, and the spirit wheel came in and said that she's got a little diary in a book, and in the front of the book is this phone number, and it's a best friend. So I said to the lady, you've got a small green diary with a pencil in it in your handbag, and in the front is your best friend's phone number, and it's this. She got it here. She says, yeah, in front of the whole church. So perhaps you're not asking nice enough, Neil. Yeah. Yes, Neil, certainly. You've got my email address, or just find me on Facebook and I'll tell you about the ministry. Yeah. Yes. Thank you very much, everybody. Some nice questions and some lovely people. And thank you, Jack, and the DSA.
Yes. So thank you, Martin. Thank you, everybody out there. We'll just finish off with putting Martin's title, One Mediumship, Two Expressions. If you want to go and find it on, was it eBay, Amazon?
It's on Amazon, and you can get it in 3 formats. I mean, I've got it in hardback because I wanted a hardback book, but it's on Kindle, hardback or softback, all different prices.
So that's opportunity. So thank you everybody for joining in. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, where we are having these streams. We do have some Zoom events also. We have Sunday services, World United Sunday services. We do have some Saturday night demonstrations and things as well every second month. So just follow our page and see what is being announced there. So thank you for now, and hope to see you soon again. So good night and have a continuous lovely evening. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good night, everybody.